Welcome to the HU Movemakers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Welcome to the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in their respective field. Today, we have another special guest. We got a Real Housewives of the Potomac. Yes, the Potomac. Y'all know the Potomac. If you in the DMV, if you went to Howard, if you've been on the Spirit of Washington. I want to introduce her real quick. Now, this sister, she does it all. Actor. She got stuff out on Netflix. Award-winning independent film. She got somewhere she's co-starring with Tia Mowry. Netflix Family Reunion. Her first R&B single, I See You. We should ask her to sing. She's worked with Grammy Award winners such as Chucky Thompson, Chucky T. Co-founder of Prima Hair Collection by Candiace Dillard. Co-owner of Chateau Salon Suites. Founded an organization called My Sister's Keeper. Man, this is a well-rounded woman. She's giving back to the community. Hailing from Atlanta, Georgia. Graduate of Howard University, School of C. I'm from the School of B, but we love y'all.
All right.
Worked in the White House, public engagement and internal government affairs under the Obama administration. Former Miss United States. Today we got Candiace Dillard Bassett on the show. Man, we got somebody. She got the blue check mark. That means you're official.
Well,
on her Instagram. Thank you for coming on today.
Hello there.
Man,
I love all your HU Nelia in the back. It makes me feel like I'm back at home.
Good. Hey, I gotta set the tone because it's Howard, so we family. Yes. I want you to feel at home. But again, thank you for coming on the show. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Man, so where do we start? I mean, I look on your YouTube, I see that personality, so I know automatically this is going to be a fun interview. I read your bio, I see actress, I see singer. I'm like, man, I know she has an amazing story to tell. I mean, Miss America,
United States. Now,
United
let
States.
me stop you there because there's some. That's like saying.
Hampton.
You went to Hampton, right? No. I went to Howard University. Yeah, so there is a hierarchy amongst the pageant community, and there are pageants that are respected and are lauded as trailblazers for women, and there are pageants who are still trying to get to that spot.
So which one was yours?
My pageant was a trailblazing pageant. So some of the top pageants are Miss America is one of them, Miss United States, which is the title that I held, Miss USA, Miss Universe, Miss Earth, Miss World. These are some of the top organizations that, from my purview, from my perspective, are really putting out and putting forth women who are doing great things in their communities.
So was your pageant the one you won? So you won. So it was representatives from all 50 states?
All 50 states plus the District of Columbia, which is what I represent in DC, American Samoa, Guam,
so
and
it wasn't like just a black
other
thing or nothing like that. It was just the top women.
Yes. So every delegate from every state and U.S. territory had to compete in their regional competition and then their state competition, and then everyone shows up to nationals. You're there for a week. And it's similar to what you've seen on, the Miss Congenialities and the Tyler's and Tiara shows of the world, in that you are showing up, you're there for the week, you're competing in different phases of competition. There's lots of activities. So yes, I did compete against 51 other women for the title of Miss United States.
Wow. That's pretty amazing to come out on top with that. I mean,
yes, it's crazy.
Let's unpackage that. So that tells me automatically something about your upbringing and your family. Did you have like a stage mom?
Yeah. So no, actually, my mom did put me in my first pageant. She put me in my first pageant at 5 years old.
Wow.
But then after I call it catching the pageant bug. I got the pageant bug. I wanted to compete in every pageant that there was. My mom was not into it because she had to be backstage helping me get dressed, doing my hair, and she didn't want to do all that. She wanted to just sit in the audience and watch. So she was a stage mom in that she was very supportive of me and helped me to, get dressed and practice my talent. And she wrote all the checks for everything that I had to do. But she was never the person who that had to push me to compete. I pushed myself and I wanted to present these opportunities to myself.
What is the thrill behind it? As a guy, and I'm sure I know men do pageants too, but
there are male pageants, yes.
What is the thrill behind it? As a kid, I never understood what that was about. Now, it seemed like, and then you brought up Tyler's and Tiara's. I have watched that show before.
Yes.
And the parents on there they're intense.
They're lunatics, right?
But the kids are like little adults,
Yeah.
how they're able to like articulate.
Yeah.
But I just see, if I was put in that position as a kid, I'd be like, this is not fun for me. What for you, someone who enjoyed doing it, what did you enjoy about it?
I think for me, what it did for me was give me confidence that I might not have had until much later in life, because you are forced to get to know yourself. You have to sell yourself to a panel of judges when you're competing in a pageant. You have to sell yourself to an audience. You have to develop a certain level of stage presence to be able to get up on a stage and showcase and display your personality non-verbally. If there's an on-stage question component, you have to be able to get on stage and on the fly in 30 seconds or less, answer a question that, could be tailored to any subject in the world. So for me, it helped me very early.
Did it teach you how to finesse?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It taught me how to finesse. It taught me how to finesse my way out of a situation. All of that.
Yes. Now we're getting somewhere. And then she chose Howard. I get it. So, but no, that I mean, it's competitive,
Yes, for sure.
And to be able to compete at such a young age, and that becomes a part of who you are. I mean, was it hard for you to like make friends? Did you get like hated on as like the pageant girl, or was this two different lives you were living as a kid?
No, it was well, because I was always kind of known as the prissy girly girl. Can you tell?
So that means so was that were you really prissy in real life, or was it two parts?
I was really girly. I'm a really girly girl. Like, and I don't even realize how girly I am sometimes. My best friend was over here a couple of weeks ago, and I have like this ridiculous skincare regimen. And I just love the idea of washing my face and slathering on serums and wearing face masks. And I have this special steamer that I use to open up my pores. And she was like, "You are so effing girly." And I was like, that's
probably to open up your pores. Okay.
Yes.
Any recommendations? Because I might need
open up the pores so you can get all the good stuff.
You got to moisturize your sexy.
All the $100 serums that you buy can really get down in your pores. Yes.
Well, Puff said, Howard alum, he said you got to moisturize your sexy. So
that's yes. Yes.
So there you go.
From the mouths of the legends themselves. That is absolutely true. Yes.
So when you're competing in these pageants, I mean, how much? Obviously, you don't know at the time, but like when you look back, are these are pretty expensive things to compete in?
They are.
How much would a pageant from like, let's say starting, meaning like, okay, practice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have coaches that help you through this, outfitting and the whole nine. How much from start to finish does a pageant cost?
So I don't know. I don't think this is on my resume, but I'm also actually a pageant consultant. I own a pageant consulting firm called Candiace Dillard Pageant Consulting. So when I gave up my title, because you reign for 1 year, I started my own pageant consulting firm. So this is really what my firm does, is help other women prepare from start to finish for their pageants. And yes, pageantry is an expensive sport. It's not cheap. I have a lot of clients who can foot the bill themselves. I have a lot of clients who have to seek out sponsorships, and it's doable. obviously it's easier to do if you have an unlimited supply of financial resources, because evening gowns, for example, can run $5,000 to $10,000 just for
Oh hell
one
no.
evening gown.
I was just gonna consider putting my daughter into this until you brought that. Ain't no
How
reason.
old is your daughter?
She's 3. She'll be 4 in September.
Okay, so when she
No.
turns 5, just let her, and you have to let her get her feet wet and figure it out. She may do it and not like it, but let her get her feet wet. And there are pageants there are glitz pageants, which is basically the girls that you see in colors and tiaras that have like 7,000 pounds of makeup and their hair is, high in the sky and they've got the little heels. Those are glitz pageants. There are also natural pageants that I recommend you start out with when you have young girls, because you don't want to perpetuate this idea that you have to be made up with 7 pounds of makeup to be beautiful. So I'm a proponent of pageants that also glorify natural beauty. You should start her there. And then if she likes it, she graduates up to, the more dramatic, high-end pageants.
We'll think about it. And if we go that route, I got your information. I'll definitely reach out to you.
You got the H2 discount right here.
That's still gonna be expensive. So tell me, so 5,000 to 10,000 for a dress. What else? What are the other expenses?
Pageant consulting, coaching. So if you're gonna have a coach, you're gonna spend about $125 an hour for a pageant coach. That's the standard rate.
What are you?
You can find coaches that are a little bit less, but the standard is a
coach. What are you coaching these kids on to warrant $125 an hour?
Yeah, so the pageant industry is a very niche community. It's its own little microcosm. And you want someone, if you're really serious about competing, that's going to come in and introduce you to the culture of pageantry. And it's still, to this day, it's still a little bit different, the way that you move through the world as a woman of color versus someone who is not a POC. So I like to speak from a position of, hey, I'm a Black woman who, reached the pinnacle of greatness, if you will, as a national title holder. Wow. Oftentimes that's as high as you can go, is to win your national pageant. If there's an international component, you can win the international component as well. But I've seen what it's like to go from the regional level to the state level. Many times I've competed most of my life. So you see a lot of different things. So really just introducing my clients to the culture of pageantry so that when they walk in, they're not shell-shocked or culture shocked or at a loss for how to move, because it's political. It's a lot of, as a matter of fact, a lot of the things that you learn in pageantry, the way that Howard University kind of throws their freshmen into the fray of things, it's similar to that. You come in, you're new, you're fresh, and you're having to prove yourself to a group of judges, to other veteran contestants who have competed, a lot of times have competed 5, 6, 7 times in this one pageant. So you're spending money on coaching so that someone can help you understand. How many
hours are we talking about?
Oh my God, it's hours and hours and hours.
So tell me the difference between going to be Miss Howard and Miss United States or Miss HBCU. What is the difference?
It's just a different approach. So, and especially, I remember when I think my first pageant that I saw, that I watched at Howard, was, I think, the Mr. and Miss Freshman pageant. And it's even more of a niche environment than just the regular pageant world. And it was intimidating at first to even see it and to sit and to bear witness to the way that these contestants were prepared to compete.
And you were at Howard, what years?
5 to 9, 05 to 09.
But you won Miss United States 2013, right?
In 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that let's say if you were Miss Howard, do you think that being Miss Howard would hurt your chances at being Miss United States? or help?
No, I think it would have contributed in the same way
Okay.
that every other competition I had competed in before that would have contributed. I think, and that's especially because it would have given me another tie to the community that I was already living in.
Yeah.
And then when I left Howard, I competed for Miss District of Columbia. So it would have given me another tie to the DC area. It would have, and there were a lot of girls, a lot of women who competed within the Mr. and Miss Howard system. Shayna Rudd was one that comes to mind, who also competed in the America system, the USA system. So there are a lot of students and a lot of women who kind of made that jump. I just was not one.
What are you winning when you get these pageants?
It varies. So depending on the pageant, on the system, there can be a cash prize component. There's almost always a scholarship component. The Miss America system is one of the larger gifters of scholarships amongst pageants in the industry. They give hundreds of thousands of dollars to their contestants, not just the winners, but to all of the competitors and all of the delegates or the women that are competing in the system become eligible for scholarship money. Some pageants will give you cars. Miss Virginia USA gives you a car for the year, so you get to drive.
Some of the cool things that you've won?
I've cash prizes. I've won scholarship money, wardrobe stipends, hair extensions, makeup. I never got a car.
How much cash?
I'm sorry.
How much cash?
How much cash? I think at one time maybe $2,000.
Okay.
You get shoes.
That pays for your shoes.
Makeup. Yeah. And then there are certain pageants that will gift experiences. So you win a vacation, or there was one pageant that gifted French lessons or lessons in a foreign language. So that was one of the prizes is that you win lessons to learn a new language. So it just depends.
When I watch these pageants, or you hear all right, do the contestants really get along, or are you guys like beefing? Because I'd imagine that's super competitive because you're around a bunch of pretty women. Everybody's smart, and everybody's the prettiest from where they come from, the smartest where they come.
Yes.
And I don't want to say you got to be fake, but you got to be fake. You know.
Well,
is there beef that goes on?
That happens. That has never been the case for me. I think that's a misconception about the pageant industry and women. Too many women who are aesthetically pleasing and smart in one space. There's this idea that it creates competition, and that's not always the case. I think some of my best friends, my dearest friends, my closest friends are women that I competed with. So it's really about how you show up and how you bring yourself into the competition. If you are unsure, if you are someone who feels like you need to create contention, that says more about who you are as a person and less about everyone else who is in the room competing with you. Nice. So it also can teach you how not to create competition where there doesn't need to be any, because there's one crown, there's one sash, there's one spot for the winner. If it's not you, it's not you. And if it is, then great. But either way, I think
you've never encountered any haters?
Definitely. I'm sorry?
I said, did you ever encounter any haters though?
Yeah, there are haters.
You have any stories that you can tell us, like a time where somebody hated? Because I know you probably, I looked at your Miss United States pageant. I looked it up. It's on YouTube. I saw it. And for a Black woman to win a pageant like that, I'd imagine you've had some moments that were trying, and maybe not in that pageant, but I'd imagine, you're on the circuit. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're just competing in Black pageants. You're competing in, the well-branded, well-funded joints. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
talk to me about some of the things that you might have had to go to, because when you look at these pageants, you just see pretty girls smiling and
Mhm.
giving answers. You don't really see
Yeah.
and until toddlers and tiaras, but that's mostly about the parents cracking down and having
Right.
meltdowns. What are some of the things that you went through with other contestants that, as we talk about, you know, stuff that's going on in society, like what are some of the things that you might have faced?
Yeah. Um, that's a good question. I think not so much when I was competing um, as an adult, but as a child, I remember competing. And I'm from Georgia. I was born in Biloxi, Mississippi. My family is from Alabama, so I have roots in the South. And growing up in the South and experiencing, questionable moments, experiencing racism, experiencing colorism, and some of the ugly things that people of color have to deal with. It didn't even really occur to me that it was happening to me until much later in life, when I was really, a lot of my aha moments came when I got to Howard University. When I got to Howard, and I realized what colorism was, and I realized that certain things that were said to me by white women, white girls, that they thought were compliments were not. I'd been told many times by pageant moms as a child that, and every Black girl that I know has heard this, you're just so pretty to be a Black girl.
Man, they actually said
Um,
that to you?
yes, that's a thing. And a
Man,
lot of my Black girlfriends have
was your
heard that.
mom around when
Or
they said that to you? Like, were your parents present?
no, no, this would be, and it's backstage at a pageant is very fast moving,
Damn.
it's bustling, so you're
So how does
moving
that
around.
land? How does that land on a person like you when you hear that? You take that as a compliment at that time because you don't know better? Like, what do you? Well, are you like,
Yeah,
damn,
as a child,
I am
as a
pretty cute for a
child,
Black girl?
well, thank you. Um, but as a child, yeah, I didn't know to be offended.
Hmm.
Um, so
But how does that
I
play
just
in
said
your?
thank
How does that play in your psyche though? Are you like, like when you go around other Black people? Are you like, man, I'm a part of the ugly race, but I'm the cute one in the ugly race? Like, psychologically, what
you. Yeah,
type of effect does that have on you?
it didn't affect me as a child. It more so affected me sort of retroactively as an adult,
Mhm.
realizing what was said to me. It still makes me angry to
Yeah.
think about,
Like, damn, that was fucked up.
what I didn't know.
Yeah. No, I feel
Yeah,
you. Yeah. So I take it that you grew up in an environment where a lot of times you was the only person that looked like you. Is that right or wrong?
I was. Yeah. That's
Man.
really what drove me to eventually go to Howard University, is that I had always been the token in white spaces, almost always. And that was just my parents were in the military, and where we were stationed on several Air Force bases, and
Oh, okay.
it just happened that we weren't in areas that were densely populated with Black people. It was
And that
I
was
grew up in mostly white spaces most of my life, and I don't, and I still wonder where the fire came from to want to learn more about my culture, because there was nothing around me that fed that.
when you get to Howard, you'll find that a good amount of people have that same
Yeah. Oh yeah.
backstory. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like just you, because I mean, even coming up, I'm from Chicago, and
Mhm.
I went to all boy, all white high school. And
Wow.
so I
Yeah.
was like, yo, I had to get away from home. I had
Yep.
these things on my list that I had to do, and I was like, man, I want to be around more uh, Black people. Like,
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what that was like. And even though my mom put me in basketball, even when I played tennis, it was always Black stuff. But
Yeah.
academically, which is where I spent most of my time, because you in school for 6-7 hours a day. I was
Mhm.
always, when it came to class, I was always at only one, and I was like, man, I gotta bounce. So the first
Yeah.
chance I got, I went to Howard. So I mean, what was it like for you when you first arrived? at Howard, and I think you got an interesting perspective, being that, you're competitive. It's in your nature. So now you're around all these fine
Mhm.
women. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
You're around a bunch of guys
Mhm.
on your own. You're at the Mecca. A lot of
Yep.
stereotypes you probably being broken down right before your eyes.
Yes.
What is it like as a freshman coming in, for you? Like, paint that picture for me.
So the first thing that comes to mind is natural hair. So I grew up, like I said, in the South, where it was sacrilegious to not get a perm. And the idea of new growth was this, this thing that you never wanted to see. So the minute you had some new growth, it was time to go to the salon and get a perm. And one of the first things I remember walking onto campus was all of these beautiful, different shades of beautiful Black women in their natural hair glory. And I saw just afros and twist outs and just big hair, loose curls, tight curls, 4C, 3C, all the different textures just out. And that to me is just, it stuck out. And I was enamored because I had always had a perm, and I couldn't imagine what it was like
Hmm.
to exist with my natural hair.
Did you
That
go
was just
natural?
never something.
Did you go
So
natural? Did you go natural?
I've been natural now since 2009.
What else do you see that's kind of different for you?
Um, well, I mean, one of the major obvious differences was I'd never been around so many young Black people in one space, who many of them had stories that were very similar to mine. They coming from privileged homes, privileged households, sort of the, before Bill Cosby tainted the Cosbys, but that Cosby sort of lifestyle where my parents were physicians, and we were blessed and wanted for not much. I was always made to feel ashamed or embarrassed to have come from a life of Black
Really?
excellence, Black privilege.
Who
By
who shamed you on that?
Well, they're my counterparts. There weren't a lot of other Black people like me.
So they like, where you wanted to, where they say, "Oh, she talk white," were you
I
getting that
heard
as a
that.
kid? Okay.
Heard that as a kid. Oh, you rich bitch. You wouldn't know anything about the struggle, or about, you're not even really Black. You don't even really count as Black because you live behind the gate. We lived in a gated community. You live behind the gate. All of that stuff.
Oh wow,
And
man.
you learn
So
to suppress.
did
You
that
learn to
did that make
suppress
you
that part of you.
did that make you at times wish that you weren't Black?
It never made me wish that I wasn't Black. It did make me wish that, or it made me hide who I was in a financial sense. So I didn't talk about where we lived. I didn't talk about what my parents were physicians. I didn't my stepmom or my mom would buy me something really nice that had a nice label, and I wouldn't wear it because I wanted I wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in with my friends, and all of my friends didn't have the things that I had.
So when your
So
parents are bringing you up in that environment, I guess it's, you're like the minority pretty much in every setting. Was there any resistance to you going to Howard?
my mom was resistant, mostly because it was too far from her, and she likes to be in the mix of every aspect of my life. She's a busybody mama. But no, outside of that, no, my stepdad was obviously really excited. My dad was living in Manassas at the time, so I was going to be closer to him, so he was excited. It was really just my mom who was just she was kind of hating because I was leaving her. It was more about her.
When you think about it socially, in terms of like pecking order or hierarchy or whatever, if you're a Black woman and you want to marry a Black man,
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
It's
It
tough.
can
It's
be
tough.
challenging. It
Well,
can be.
I say this: if you're black, and the thing is, then it comes into play where you got black women that say, "Oh, well, he gotta have this. He gotta
Yeah.
have a degree. He
Mm-hmm.
can't have no record."
Mm-hmm.
That you got black, like it's like, if he ain't gay, straight, or in jail, like it's like, and I sympathize with it because, I got two sisters, I got a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
so I got a ton of excellent, excellent, homegirls from Howard who's still
Yeah.
single, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And they, they want to be with black men. So
Yes.
this is a good conversation that we need to
Yeah.
have, and I think you could
Yeah. And it's funny, a
enlighten us.
lot of Black women, professional Black women, intelligent, amazing Black women have reached out to me, specifically to ask me, hey girl, what's it like dating these white men? Like, because
What is
I'm
it like?
thinking about it.
I
I'm
want to know
considering.
too. I mean, not for myself, but what is it like? Because me personally, I don't think I dated a white girl briefly after college, and I just felt so insecure. Like
Why?
I just did. I just didn't like when we went out. I just felt like, like when we was at home, it was different because we bonding. But I was like, man, I don't know if I could go to your you
Yeah.
spend time with your family like that.
Yeah.
We go out. I was like, I just felt like people were like looking at me. It was just,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. Well, I also think that there's a different stigma attached to Black men who date white women versus Black women who date white men.
please
It's
elaborate on that.
it's two totally different narratives. Mostly because there's this idea that if we go back in history a little bit, there's this idea that Black women were viewed as property. We were 3/5 of a person, and we became this fantasy for our white masters. We became this expendable vessel to bring mulatto children into the world that could, serve in the house and be this secret lover for these white men in power who were still willing to uphold these ideals about where a Black person belonged in society, but wanted to lay with them in private. And I think that stigma has carried over the
Even
last.
today?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely
So?
today. And I think that, and I'm not speaking on my personal opinion. I'm speaking from the perspective of the general consensus. I think, and then I can speak very specifically to the other side of things as a Black woman who is married to a white man. Many Black women, from what I have seen and heard, feel like they aren't loved or appreciated or respected by Black men.
Oh
And
no.
so they say, well, I'm going to try something else. And it's not always white. Sometimes it's other. I'm going to try this Latin man. I'm going to try an Asian. I'm going to try, whatever.
I think that I mean I've heard that too, but I know I've been around women where they have this, he gotta have this, he gotta have that
Sure.
type of thing, which it's nothing wrong with having standards in a
Yep.
person. But I think that like we got Michelle Obama, for example, obviously she got with Barack. I mean, they lived in her parents' house. He was a
Yeah.
community organizer. I just think it's dangerous to just discount a person.
I agree. And I think I'm a perfect example of that. We were talking earlier before the show started about my white husband's circumstance. There are a lot of, you're talking about haters earlier as well. There are a lot of haters and naysayers that say to me, well, if you're going to be with a white man, you could have found somebody better than Chris. Chris is divorced, has baby mamas and multiple kids. You could have just found you a nigga. You could just found you a man for that, or a Black man for that. I hear that because my husband is divorced.
Are these like folks that's in your DMs or like on your
DMs,
timeline? Like who are these
comments,
people?
commenters,
So then
DMs.
tell me, what does it feel? What is it like since we on this topic? You know the history of black people, white people, especially going back to slavery, where slave master was intrigued by black women,
Yes.
raping them, having kids, and some would say that's how HBCUs got started
Yeah.
for mulatto kids to get an
Mm-hmm.
education.
Mm-hmm.
Now we dealing with all of this stuff currently,
Yeah.
and now you married to a white guy with 3 kids. I mean, I don't even know what's the first question I should ask, but emotionally, I mean, what is that like when you are dating, when you're not dating, but when you're married to
Mm-hmm.
someone that's white? And it's not
Yeah.
even that they're not black. It's really that they're white. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Because if
Yeah.
he was Puerto Rican, probably
Right.
not as big of a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you got the white person, that's symbolic of the oppressor.
Yeah.
And it's specifically when you're married to a white man and
Yeah.
these worlds come together. I mean, what is that like having to, you go from Howard,
Mm-hmm.
you know what our culture is. You're obviously well versed in politics because you worked in the White House. Now you're married to a white man, and you on the Real Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
Like emotionally, that seems like a roller coaster that I wouldn't even want to get on. Like, how does it feel? What's your world like?
Well, I think that to answer your question about what it's like being married to a white man,
Yes.
like I said, I never expected to marry Chris. I always, because my dad is black, my stepdad is black. I grew up around a lot of black men in my family. I always just assumed I would marry a black man because that's what I was around. But I credit my time at Howard for exposing me to more diverse groups of men, not just white people, white men, but uh, Trinidadian, East Indian, people from different parts of Africa, even just different parts of the country. You meeting black men from Atlanta versus black men from Chicago versus a black man from LA. It's different, and you're exposed to different social norms and the different ways that people communicate and emote and deal with conflict and struggle and joy. It's all very, it can be a culture shock if you're not expecting it. So I credit spending time at Howard and really immersing myself in the Howard culture and in the different people that passed across the campus, with me becoming more comfortable even thinking about dating outside my race.
I mean, there had to be a strong connection between you guys, because I know these thoughts entered your head. Like, man,
Yes.
when I go out in public, people gonna judge me. What do I tell my parents? Like.
Well, I didn't really, no, that never really crossed my mind because my
Which one?
parents,
Your parents
neither
were
one.
cool with it.
My parents have always been accepting
Okay.
of whoever I brought home.
Well, not necessarily that. I'm thinking of having kids already part.
Because my parents are divorced, and my mom, when she met my stepdad, she had a daughter. When my dad met my stepmom, he had a daughter. So they couldn't really judge. And then everybody I know, this is not a good thing, is divorced. And I think it's counterproductive to judge someone based on their past. Like, it happened, they were there, now they're here. What are they doing now? Who are they now? What's the situation now?
And he's a good person and all of that, right?
Obviously, he's a great person.
What made you, I don't want to say let your guard down, but kind of change your philosophy, your way of thinking, when you were saying, okay, I thought I was gonna marry a black dude. I thought I was gonna marry somebody with no kids and who wasn't married before. Because this is something that I think there may be women who have all these
lists,
right? These lists and these non-negotiables Now, of course, obviously, there are fundamental things you never negotiate on, like
Sure.
liar. Of course, you don't want
Right.
to marry a liar. But what made you change your philosophy?
The fact that Chris and I were friends first. I think that a lot of people walk into the idea of dating with so many expectations and so many lists and so many non-negotiables that you forget that in addition to looking for a partner and for someone to love you, you need to be looking for a friend as well. And what I have always said is what made Chris and I work was the fact that we were friends for 4 years before we ever even thought about each other in a non-platonic way. Ever. There was never nothing. We were strictly friends, and we hung out in groups together. We worked together. When we met, we were working together. We worked together as colleagues who became friends. And that, I think, is more important than finding love, is finding a friend in your partner, and the other stuff will come. Because love is fickle. Love, is a thin line between love and hate. Love can be here today and gone tomorrow. But if you have a solid foundation and a friendship with your partner, that can sustain you through challenges.
So are you bringing him to homecoming?
He's already been to homecoming.
Okay, good.
I got him because he wanted to wear a Howard sweatshirt. I was like, nah, bro, you ain't earned this sweatshirt. Can't give you that. But what I can give you is I got him a Howard Husbay sweatshirt that I had made for him. So he went to his first homecoming last homecoming.
So what is it like interacting with his side of the family? At least
That's a good question.
From I don't know, initially, because you got to be thinking stuff in your head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
for like, sure. Damn it, Chris, you done it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So the first time that I met his family, he has a big family. He's got half brothers, step brothers. He has a big, very complicated family.
Is there a significant age difference with y'all?
7.5 years.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not horrible.
Yeah.
But I met his entire family at one time. So his mom, his stepmom, his dad, his 2 older siblings, all of their kids, their spouses, his younger brothers, their kids, their spouses. I met everybody at once on a beach trip. And he brought me last minute. He was like, well, I'm going to the beach. Do you want to come? Okay. And I was, because it had been years since I had been the token in the room. I was used to that growing up. I was always the token. But I came to Howard, and I'm living in the Chocolate City, and I'm interning in a black ass White House. Like I'm used to being around people who look like me, who share in my experiences and in my cultural understandings of things. So I was kind of like, this is going to be interesting. But I think that it's easy to move through the world as a person of color, especially in these times, thinking that all white people are the enemy. And I'm guilty of that. I side-eye a lot of white people. But Chris's family is an example of people who just see you for who you are. And they have never made me feel weird or uncomfortable or any of that ever.
And your family, they didn't have that talk with you, like, yo, you sure you want? I mean, this is a white guy with 2 kids. I mean, was your family hesitant at all, or throwing up some smoke signals to you?
No. I think that if they had not met him before they knew all of those things, maybe. But Chris he's just so chill. Like if you met my husband, because you asking a lot of real skeptical questions, like some real chin stroking, like side eye questions that a lot of people.
I think these are questions that a lot of people watching this would find interesting.
A lot of people who don't know Chris, because and I'll say this too, if I was not me and I was standing on the outside, I would probably be curious in the same ways that you are. But Chris is he's just there.
I'm asking also because I haven't had, like, a lot of my experiences were very negative growing up with so I grew up in a white neighborhood. My mom's a business owner. The other 2 or 3 black families that were on my block, both doctors. But every time something was stolen, police come to my house. We know you stole those bikes. We used to get accused, get called the N-word all of the time growing up. I remember in high school, it was like a big race, like war almost, even though we was super outnumbered. Like seeing swastikas in the bathroom, being accused of all type of stuff. And so my experience growing up, it just was not positive. And I'll say this, when I was in elementary school, my experience was like super positive. Like my best friends was white, but it was like once you got to high school, it was like
a divide.
It's just like a divide. It just came out of nowhere. When you are doing the Obama thing, so you're still, because I noticed you. I mean, you got music out, you act. Are you doing all of this at the same time?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Wow. So I'm sitting here interviewing you, and you're coming across like, yes, and then this happened, and yes, But when I watch you on The Housewives, I mean, it's a totally different woman I'm seeing. What's all of that about? What does that come from?
She's not different. Now,
not different, but she's definitely built for ratings.
Well, that's true. But I am like most Black women. I am not a monolith. It is acceptable for me to be able to sit in an interview and my subjects and my verbs agree. And I speak from a place of intellect. And then also cuss your ass out if you need to be cussed out. Man. That is allowed.
Where does that come from? That little spicy. Does that come from the pageant side? Where does that come from? Because you coming at adults as old as your mama. and like me, I always give deference to adults. It's like,
yeah, that was hard for me. Can I talk about
that? You don't like curse in front of adults. It's like
yes,
like even older, like I still don't curse in front of 30 years older than me. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not cussing. Right.
Subjects. You like, yo, you could get it too. What's good?
That was hard for me. I have to say, I've never talked about this before, but what you just said, it was difficult for me to get going on the show.
You had to find your voice.
I had to find my voice, mostly because I was raised not to disrespect my elders, and especially Black women. Where I come from, in my community, my mom, my aunts, I grew up in a matriarchal land. Women ran shit where I came from. Mm-hmm. So I have this immense respect, and I give immense deference to Black women, especially my elders, because that's just how I was raised and what I was taught. So for me to have to be thrown into this pack of wolves, and I have to, and they were coming at me. If you watch my first season, from my first season to my third season, the evolution of me having to kind of let go of, okay, yes, these women are older than me, but you're not about to sun me like this. Like I can't allow you to sun me this way. I have to stand up for and speak up for myself. And it took me a long time. And even after a lot of those arguments, I would feel guilty, and I would feel like I did something wrong for cussing out Sharice. When Sharice came to my door and asked to be cussed out.
Damn, now you making me wish I need to watch this show. So, like, you're not cool with Sharice, I take it.
No, we're cool now.
Oh, okay, because that's the one you cuss out on the bus, right?
Yes.
Damn, she down there she had to take her wig off and scratch her head. She was mad as hell when you said that. Man,
well, I think that was the thing.
Petty.
They thought.
I feel like you had that one. I feel like you had that one waiting in your back pocket.
Well, no, I wasn't expecting that, but they thought they were getting a cute. Giselle used to call me a cheerleader. Oh, the cheerleader's coming in, because I am petite. I'm small. I have dimples. I'm cute. I'm peppy and I'm fun. And I'm all about girl time and having a good time. And that's what I'm about. And I think they took that and ran with it and thought that they were going to be able to run over me and treat me like a little sister.
But they was kind of coming at you like, when I look at certain clips, and like I said, I mean, I know they put clips on there that make people watch. So I only watch the clips, but they were putting stuff on there like basically making it seem like you never had no real responsibilities. Like, your parents take care of you, your husband take care of you, and things of that nature. And
the gag there, let me just stop you. The gag there is and always has been, yes, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth.
So
yes,
you own that. You own that.
I come from a privileged home where I did not want for much. My parents worked very hard to be able to give my siblings and I a life where we didn't have to struggle. My parents struggled. They came from humble beginnings, and they built their empires to give a life to their children that they could be proud of. The difference between my legacy and what I have and these women, it's like pots and kettles, and everybody is black, because all of them are kept women. They are taken care of not by a legacy and a pedigree of a family, but by a man that they had to go stand wherever they stood and wait to be picked up by. Ooh. So not over here. Not over here. So do that over there.
So the women on the show, none of them are like working women or career women, I guess you could say. It's not like that medicine show that's in Atlanta where they're all
married to medicine. Yes, where the women are doctors. No. I'm not going to speak for everybody.
So why are you a target in all of this? I mean, what made them feel comfortable coming at you with this type of stuff? Given that if what you said is factual, like, hey, we all, that's the pot calling the kettle black. I'm just a younger version of you, and my family, put me on. Like, why are you mad at me?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Well, we're watching reality TV, so they gotta have
reality TV. But I mean, still, why you? You're not the only person on there.
No, I'm not. No, but I think that certain people are easier targets, and I think because I came in with my heart on my sleeve, if you watch the show, I cry all the time on the show. I'm always crying about something.
Really?
Always. So I came in very open, very vulnerable.
I want to talk about that. I saw you cry a few times with your mom. I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But no, keep going. So you're very vulnerable.
Yeah, I came into the show very open, very vulnerable, very forthcoming with, information about my life, my family, my husband, my mom. I was very open, and they took advantage of that. So,
do you consider these women to be your friends?
Some.
Okay.
Some of them, yes.
Because that just seems like a tough situation where you kind of got to be adversarial a little bit.
Yeah.
For the sake of the show. But at the same time, it's your life. You know what I mean?
Right. My real life. Yes.
Right. It's your real life. So are you the only one on the show that's married to a white man?
No, there is another woman who is married to a white man. That's all I will say about her.
Also, y'all not tight? Oh, man, that's crazy, because I was going to say, man, y'all must have bonded, but damn, I guess not. Candice, you gotta stop snapping on people. You gotta stop snapping. I gotta watch this show. I really have to watch this show now. I'm about to binge watch it just because of you. Damn.
Started season 3. It got good season 3 when your girl stepped on the scene.
Okay, so I should
start there.
So right now we're in season 5, right?
Well, yes, season 5 is what will air this summer. So you just have to
start. So me and my wife, we gonna start with season 3.
Your wife doesn't watch?
I don't know. I think she watches Atlanta.
Then she knows. She may not watch us, but she knows about us. So maybe have her give you
I knew about it. I just didn't watch it, Yeah. I just never watched it. And I'm just not into that. But now that I kind of know you now, I'm like, I gotta watch it.
You should.
Because once I start airing these podcasts, one of my friends, she was on Married to Medicine in LA.
Oh, who's your friend?
Asha. You know Asha?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So Asha is my friend, one of my best friends, Madison. Asha's one of her profiles.
Okay, yeah. So me and Asha, we went to Howard together, both from Chicago. So I watched for her, but when I talked to Asha, like I asked, I was like, why did you go on that show? Mm-hmm. I want to ask you that, like, why?
So very good question. For me, this show, and what I tell anyone who asks me about joining the reality TV world, you have to come into this with a set of goals. I came into this with a very specific set of goals that I wanted to reach for myself. I knew before this show who I wanted to be and how I wanted to get there. And for me, this show, among other things, has been a springboard to get to the music industry, a springboard to get to Netflix and other places in Black Hollywood, a springboard to parlay my businesses, Prima Hair Collection, Chateau Salon Suites, other things that my family and I are doing, working on together. It's been a springboard for all of those things. And for as long as the platform serves me and allows me a space to be able to network and make my entrepreneurial dreams come true, make my dreams in music and entertainment come true, then I'll be hanging around, cussing people out every now and then if I have to. But no, that honestly has always been.
How much of that stuff on the show is like scripted? Like, are the producers saying like, smack that bitch? Do they got sound in the background like throw the drink in her face? Like, how much of that?
No. It's not scripted at all. There is no script. Like,
when somebody's about to throw a drink in the face, like it's coming. They meeting.
Yeah.
Why are they meeting at this bar? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yes, but so that part,
at this bar.
you I don't want to insult anyone, but when you are a person of a certain level of intellect watching this show, you do have to turn some of that off and just enjoy it, because otherwise you start asking a lot of those questions that I asked as a viewer. And then you kind of get caught up in the semantics of it and you're not actually enjoying the show. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people who watch these shows, they aren't thinking about any of that. They're just watching the show.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, there's nothing scripted about any of the show. I can only speak for me when I say I come to the table, I come to the camera almost too authentically, and it has gotten me in trouble to be too authentic and
in trouble at home.
No, in trouble on the show.
So what about financially? Like, has the show helped you financially?
Oh yes, that's one of the reasons that I haven't jumped off a bridge yet.
Really? So you've been able to. I had Omarosa on here.
Oh dear.
Yes, I had her on here, and she was telling me, how she was on The Apprentice, obviously,
yes.
And then
the
list goes on, because she's must see TV anytime she says anything. So I had her on the show, and so I just asked her like, what were those checks like after The Apprentice once you started to like brand yourself? And she was
Right.
telling me that she was like, man, she was getting like 75 grand a show,
Yeah.
150 for the weekend. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Well, advertising dollars,
and then she said that she was doing so well, like NBC would come to her like, yo, we got this idea for you, or when you
yeah.
come on the show, like, this is what happens. And she kind of knew it, she kind of
Yes.
thrived in that environment.
A new ticketing platform that values event organizers so much more. EventNoir.com. Event Noir is the perfect ticketing technology for your events that rewards event organizers by helping them make extra money for each ticket sale they make. This platform truly allows event organizers to benefit from their own influence and hard work. Founded by veteran event organizers, Event Noir reinvests ticketing fees into its organizers that continuously use the platform and also enables its users with pricing power to adjust their rate for ticketing fees. But wait, there's more. Besides providing an easy process to set up events in a few steps and for attendees to browse for events and purchase tickets, Event Noir also features a variety of custom templates to create an event page, enhanced ticketing and attendee management tools, and even includes the option to add live streaming events and more. Don't wait any longer. Get started today with Event Noir, the perfect ticketing partner for your events.
Do you find yourself thriving in this world right now, or is it still something that you're adjusting to?
I think I will always be adjusting to this world because it's reality TV is unpredictable. This season that everyone will have a chance to see very soon, no one on the earth could have written or prepared any of us for the way that this season played out.
So did you fight somebody? You smack somebody?
You have to tune in.
Okay.
You have to tune in. I am not a fighter. Okay. I was not raised to fight. I was not raised to fight on television. I think there are enough examples
something happened.
Something did happen.
Something happened.
Yes, but it should be made clear that I was not raised under a rock, but some others might have been.
Wow. So you have to check some folks. So, Are you famous now?
Am I famous now? Do you have
meaning when I say famous, I mean, can you walk down the street? Like, can you go out? If you go leave the house, what are the odds that somebody's going to stop you and say, aren't you this person? Does that happen?
Yeah.
Man, what is that like? Is that cool or is it annoying?
It's cool. It's, I think it's cool for me because I think even as a pageant title holder, I dealt with some of that. Not obviously not on the same scale, but when in your town, when you win your local pageant in your town, you are famous and everyone knows who you are. And you're used to being out and taking photos. And then, if you're wearing your crown and your sash, people don't even know who you are, but they see the crown and they want to come up and take pictures. So I've always been used to that.
It's another level of fame, right?
Yeah, this is definitely.
So do you have like security that you need?
I don't need security. Let me knock on wood because I don't want to have to. I don't need security yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. So you walk in, you see people kind of videotaping you on the low.
I have seen that.
That's hilarious. Man, that's too funny. And like you out with your husband at dinner and people just like, look, girl, look who I saw. Man, that's people tagging you on Instagram and random photos that you never took.
That happens.
That's crazy. That's
crazy. It's a little wild.
Is Nene Leakes, is she considered like the godmother of of all of this? Because she's box office too. When I
Yeah,
think about
she's definitely the face of Bravo, one of the faces of Bravo for sure.
because I feel like she
She's a
got into it with that
trailblazer.
guy one time. What's the guy's name? Andy? Is his name
Andy
Andy?
Cohen.
Yeah, I think so. The dude who hosts the
Yeah,
show, the thing or whatever. Because he's
yeah.
like over all of this, right?
He is one of the executive producers.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I want to say she got into it or made a gay comment one time, and she still was back on the show. That's how you knew, like, she was making
Oh,
all
for
the
yeah.
money.
Well, no, she made a comment. Well, she's had a lot of
Right.
moments, but she made a comment about an Uber driver. She hopes that someone is accosted, but she used the R word, by their
The
Uber
R
driver.
word. What's the R word?
The R word.
The R word. Racial. I don't know. The R
No,
word.
no, raped.
Nene hilarious.
Yes.
She's a savage, man. I remember.
Yeah,
She's a savage.
she is. But you have to respect her because she literally, Bravo was like built around her. She was, the OC was actually the first Housewives franchise for Bravo, but Atlanta is what put Bravo on the map.
Big
That
time.
a lot of that is because of Nene being authentically herself, and she's a Sagittarius like me. So I've always respected her, and I have I respect the Atlanta franchise as a whole because without them there would be no Potomac. So I give a lot of deference to those women.
How does this show change your life? Being on this show,
In so many ways.
Has it increased the other checks?
Absolutely. That's what I just said. That if that was not the case, then I'm not doing something right and I need to go and reevaluate my life. But yes, it has increased my other businesses, visibility of my other businesses. We're actively looking for a second Salon Suites location for Chateau Salon Suites.
Man, that's amazing.
And then, of course, being able to put out music and have more ears that want to listen to my music.
Can you send me your some of your stuff so I could put it on the Howard Alumni Instagram?
Oh yes. So
Yeah,
my two songs are on all the streaming platforms, but I can send you my single covers.
Email me something that I could upload on Instagram.
Okay.
Infringing on like copyright violations or whatever.
Certainly. Yes.
Oh yeah, send me that stuff. So you cashing out, safe to say. How does your husband feel about all of this? Because you go into the situation as the kept woman. Quote unquote kept woman,
Yes, kept.
And now you the boss woman. You the boss woman. So now I guess it's good to go in these situations having a plan of action and having something else going so that this can feed it. So how does your husband feel about all this stuff?
Chris he's incredibly supportive. I would literally be underneath a bush with my wig over there if it were not for Chris. He keeps me grounded. He keeps me from going too far. I know people say that I go too far on the show and on social media, but if it weren't for Chris, I would be way out here in left field doing and saying anything. He keeps everything in perspective for me and helps me to do that, helps me to strategize, helps me to plan, helps me to figure out, how best to deliver my message when I'm delivering whatever message on the show. And he supports me, and he doesn't always like it because the husbands are, when you watch, you'll see the husbands are a part of the show. The people that have husbands, the husbands are a part of the show.
So like the premise of this, the Housewives is basically like, not that it's real house. It's basically women that are, I guess, married to very established men.
Yes.
Who kind of support them.
And allow them to be housewives. Yeah. Right. So the show is a spinoff of Desperate Housewives. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes. So that's why it's called The Real Housewives versus Desperate Housewives, which was a scripted show on ABC. This is supposed to be the real housewives of whatever city.
So
So yes.
do you well, did you ever have career aspirations in terms of I'm gonna be a working woman, or were you always like whoever I marry, he gonna have to be able to take care of me financially? Was that something?
Yeah. I was working before I was on the show and before I met my husband. So
Mm-mm.
I was
You know what I
I was
mean?
one
I'm
of
not saying that you never worked, because
yeah.
obviously you went to college and you worked in the White House, but I'm sure there are a lot of women who work every day who are like, I want my husband to retire me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
was that ever something that, like, that you thought about?
Yeah. No.
No? Okay.
I'm too much of an alpha female to have to ask my husband for money to get my nails done, or to buy a Celine bag, or to buy a $150 serum for my pores. Like, I want to be able to do those things and not have to still be held accountable by my partner for what I spend financially, because that's what a partnership is.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to do what I want with my money and not have to be policed by a man.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure. For sure.
Chris and we're partners in every aspect, but especially in our marriage. We have a joint account and we have separate accounts, and we pay certain things out of the joint account. And then we pay certain things out of our separate accounts. And we have kind of an understanding of how to spread the financial responsibilities, and we do that. But I was never cut out. And I see the way that the women on the show who've been married and have gotten divorced, or in marriages that look unfavorable. And I would never want to be in a position where everything that I have is predicated on whether or not I'm married to this person.
Tell me what it's like to come from, because somebody can look at your life like, oh, she got everything. She don't have no problems. She don't have any issues. And now her husband takes care of whatever. What is that like to, I don't know. Tell me about your world with your mom.
Yeah.
What's that relationship like?
Yeah, it's a work in progress for sure. I've always felt like I've had to fight for her respect.
Yeah.
And
what's wrong with black people?
What's wrong with these black mamas?
What's wrong with them, man? Damn.
We love our black mamas,
like,
but
Mom,
my God.
I'm about to be 40.
Yeah.
I done bought a whole house. I done bought two buildings. It's like my mom still be like, why are you you gotta you're not spending your money. Why? It's like constant. But yeah, keep going.
Always something. Yeah. And I had to realize, and you need to realize too, that that's never going to go away. It's never going to change. I thought that when I got married that it would taper off. Right. I thought, oh, let me just have kids. It'll taper off. But the more that I'm kind of growing and accepting things, the more I'm realizing that it's not going to change. And it's definitely going to get worse, I think, when I have children. Because it's like,
is your mom conservative?
Conservative in what way? She's fiscally conservative.
Conservative, like, is she religious, politically? Is she conservative in that regard?
No.
Okay.
Not really. She's not. A lot of my aunts are very much so religiously conservative.
Mm-hmm.
But
my
no,
mom is
she's
very, very religiously conservative. So
yeah.
So yeah, a lot of judgment. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, judgment in what way?
Just saying God don't like this. It's like, saying stuff that won't allow me to have a good retort back. You know what I'm saying? God don't like that. It's like, okay, well, I can't even argue with that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my mom really only brings the Lord and the Bible into the situation when she's quoting her favorite commandment. Honor thy mother and thy father, and your days will be long. that's her use of Jesus Christ. This is actually a very popular pageant question. What is your definition of success? You have to decide on your own that you are okay with where you are, or that you're going to be okay with where you find success, and resolve within yourself that I'm okay with where I am, with who I am, with where I'm going, without needing to seek that approval from your mom. And it's literally like a daily practice of, okay, yes, she raised me, and for you, your mother raised you by herself, and that's an even greater feat. But look where you are now. Look what you're doing now. You have a child. You're married for 8 years. That in and of itself, especially for a Black couple, is something to be lauded and to be proud of, and to, be grateful for, and to thank God for.
Yeah.
So
100%.
you have to we have to let go of this idea that if we're not pleasing our mothers, then there's something missing. Like, you have to fill that void with other stuff.
So was there ever pressure for you to like become a doctor, since your mom is a physician?
Hell yeah. 1,000%. My dad is an emergency medicine physician. My stepdad is an endocrinologist. So my dad is texting me right now. So I wanted to be a doctor most of my childhood. I used to love the Magic School Bus. I used to love to go to the museums and examine the human body and play with all the different body parts. I could draw the entire human body with all the organs labeled. I wanted to be a pediatrician, an OBGYN, a dermatologist. And then I realized that math and science were just they were not my friends. They weren't good to me. And that's where I found communications and journalism. And I discovered that I was really great at writing, and I was a great orator, and I kind of went down that road.
Well, how did your mom feel about you going on this housewife show? My mom is very interesting. She's very much about education and financial stability and entrepreneurship. But she's also very flashy and dramatic. I mean, she put me in a pageant. That was my first pageant, was all because of her. Mm-hmm. So she loves everything about the show more than I do even. It's this way for her to cut up and show out, and she be showing out.
Watch season 3.
Damn, Mom.
Turn it on.
Taking my shot too. Damn.
Mom, right. Oh, but if I say that, it's like, why are you jealous of me? Girl.
Right, you need to
jealous
stop.
of yourself.
Man.
Yeah, she's wild.
Man.
She's wild. Love her though.
Interesting stuff, man. I feel like we covered a lot.
Yes, we have. Yeah, this was like a real conversation.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess my last 2 questions. One is what advice do you have? I want to ask you specifically, because doing these interviews, I do talk to a lot of people that come from legacy families, well-to-do families. Grandparents been to college, or my father went to Howard Law, my grandfather went to Howard Law. Like, you hear stuff like that, and I often wonder, what type of pressure a person feels. But a lot of times my guests, they followed in the exact same footsteps as their parents. So, as for you, like what advice do you have for someone that, came from a background of privilege? It's not like you took it for granted. Like you know it, like you own it. You know what I'm saying? You like, this is my background, but you also create your own
lane. Yes.
Yeah. You want to get the best out of Howard. You want to do the thing after Howard. You want to please your parent. Like what advice do you give to the 18-year-old Candice that's coming into Howard now, who wants to
Yeah.
get the best out of their Howard experience, and then they want to do something that makes them feel whole after Howard.
Yeah. I would say to listen to your gut and to trust your gut. I think it's easy, especially as you said, when you come from families that are in positions of power and privilege. It's easy to allow your parents to rear you and to say to you, well, this is where you're going to school. This is what you're going to study. You'll take a gap year and then you'll go to law school. Like they map out your life for you. And a lot of times, that's in your heart and that's something that you see yourself doing. But I think a lot of times we fall into these identity traps where we feel like we're struggling or grappling with the identity that we see for ourselves versus the identity that our Black parents have painted for us. And there is a sense of pride that is attached to coming from a well-to-do Black home, because I honestly think it's not as uncommon as people like to make it. I think there's a lot of Black wealth and a lot of parents who are able to provide for their children who come from Black communities. But we are still sort of an enigma, and we're few and far between. So there's this extra expectation that we have on us, not just from our parents, but from our communities. And I think that as soon as you're able to kind of, I hate to say it like this, but get away, like you got away and came, from Chicago to DC, I got away from Georgia to get to Howard, is really use that time to explore everything about this new time in this new space.
Yeah.
It's my dad used to say that these years are going to be some of the best years of your life. And I was like, no, they're not. And I look back now and it's like, damn, they were like that really,
yeah, that's real.
And, there aren't a lot of things that I would change. I would probably do some things differently, but I wish that,
it's like, when you come from families that they're doing well, you don't want to be the one that fucks it up.
Right. The one,
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Everybody's done good to this point. Now you fucking at school of C. Thanks.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Thanks,
and
Candice.
I was going to say to you too, that my sister has an MED. She got her master's in education as well. Mm-hmm. And she's a teacher in DC as well. My mom said the exact same thing that your mom said to her.
What is the legacy of Candice going to be? I see you got your hands in everything. I mean,
yeah.
And when we, 100 years from now, like, what's going to be your imprint? What's your legacy?
That's a good question. I think for sure, I want Black women to say about me that I inspired them and empowered them to be whatever the hell it is that they wanted to be and do whatever that they wanted to do, to speak from a place of conviction, but speak from their hearts. I was going to say people, but again, I think everything about the way that I move, I want it to be seen and respected by women that look like me. That if I can be acknowledged by Black women, I will have done my job. I will have done a good job.
Man. Wow. So if we want to follow you, Candice, people want to get in touch with you, or maybe get a pageant coach, or get some. You own a hair company too, right?
Yes, Prima Hair Collection.
So they want to get some of that silky Hawaiian, whatever. You know what I'm saying? How do they go about doing all of this stuff that you got going on?
Yes.
They want to support you.
So we have a new texture at primahaircollection.com called the Catalina Brazilian Kinky Curly that I'm really excited about. So you can check out the Kinky Curly and our other textures and other products at primahaircollection.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Prima Hair Collection. You can follow me on Instagram at Candigal09. That's CANDEEGAL09. On Twitter at Candigal. You can please download and stream my music. I have my original R&B ballad, I See You, that I wrote for my husband. And the remix, the Go-Go remix, featuring Big G of Backyard Band, produced by Chucky Thompson. Both are on all streaming platforms: Apple Music, Google Play, Spotify, Tidal, everywhere that you stream music. And you will very soon be able to catch up on season 5 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. Very soon this summer, we should be on at 8 o'clock on Sundays. Don't have a date yet, but a date will be coming very soon.
Wow, that's dope, man. Hey, you've been a great guest. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.